I prayed for this and it happened.
Well, boys, luckily for us, liberals can't aim. And fortunately for us, that shooter was a DEI hire.
You got ear all over my helmet, Mr. President. But we're taking on the globalists, sir.
Well, we can call ourselves lucky for now, or divine intervention, or whatever you want.
That means that God came down from heaven and stopped the bullets?
That's right. That's exactly what it means. God came down from heaven and stopped these bullets.
Our enemies can no longer afford to be hiring DEI hires, if you guys haven't heard the news. Now put me down. I must tell the people the news. Microsoft just did something based, and Lord knows we need it right now during a time where Sony's releasing Concord and its DEI bull. It turns out Microsoft no longer wants to participate in this up experiment.
Microsoft is reportedly shuttering a major diversity, equity, and inclusion team, according to the email sent by the team's leader to a number of staff last week, in which they state that companies no longer see DEI programs as business critical.
You know the old phrase, it's a new phrase, but it's been around for a minute, go woke, go broke. You know, that used to be a question about these companies that began to actively engage in societal issues. I got to tell you right now, it looks like the answer is yes.
Well, you see, there's your problem, thinking it was business critical to begin with. Everybody told you this isn't worth a dime. This is not worth investing any single team into. Your resources are better spent elsewhere. So to see it in an email from Microsoft themselves stating they don't see this DEI experiment as business critical, well, it's making me feel real vindicated right now. You know how many people who left the channel angry, talking would say, oh my God, Fred is pushing conspiracy theories. Yeah, each and every single time I get proven right, they all disappear. They're nowhere to be found. Anybody with a functioning brain could explain to you why DEI was a complete waste of time and resources. You didn't have to have a degree in business to point out why that is. I mean, look, I'm a little quiet about this, but, you know, the company BlackRock that pushes for this DEI and ESG score bullshit, they featured a very familiar figure, one that tried to, shoot a recent political figure. Yeah.
But perhaps I've said too much.
Anyways, big coincidence. Just saying, if you want to look at it from that side, but if you want to look at it from the side of how does it affect our products? How does it affect our enjoyment? It's done quite a number. Countless examples of how DEI has ruined intellectual properties and our entertainment are not hard to list off. And if you're one of these wealthy corporations, it's not hard to list off your financial flops. And it just so happens a good chunk of those financial flops heavily pushed for DEI, ESG, woke, pandering, that nonsense. I get that it's annoying to hear other content creators push it 24/7, remind you about its existence, but it's important that you keep track of it because you're witnessing history, all right? We are literally witnessing goddamn history. This will be written in books, not public schools, of course.
The lead also accuses the company's executive leadership of investigated and evidence to discrimination, harassment, and toxicity. The email, first reported by Business Insider and corroborated by IGN, was sent by the former lead of one of Microsoft's key DEI teams. In it, they state that their role and team were eliminated due to changing business needs as of July 1st, 2024. IGN has reached out to Microsoft for comment as to the full extent and nature of these layoffs, but has not yet heard back. The email goes on to assert that DEI programs are in danger, not just at Microsoft, but across all businesses.
Burn the heretic! Kill the mutant! Purge the unclean!
Whoa, Jesus Christ, Microsoft. Get me a little excited down below. You have no idea how much it turns me on to hear that news. DEI and ESG under threat. Much like Drew McIntyre, I really did pray for this and it happened. Someone at Microsoft must have eaten a handful of shrooms and finally had that spiritual experience that awoken them and made them realize, oh my God, we should have been based the whole time? Now, some of you, like, Mighty Keith, are probably seething and foaming right now, questioning how can you celebrate this for people losing their jobs. We're talking about people that were hired based on ethnicity alone. Now, if you haven't seen my videos where I cover Microsoft's DEI program in full coverage, I'll leave a link down below. You can watch it. I go over every single thing this DEI program covers, and it's absolutely ridiculous. Of course, one should celebrate. There was entire programs dedicated specifically to just skin color, gender identity, queer identity. There was benefits to working at Microsoft if you were not white. And if you were white, you were being paid less at Microsoft. Again, check out my video on it. It's quite an eye-opener. Of course, one should be happy that such a program is going to be closed down. By its very nature, it's discriminatory. And I wouldn't be surprised if in the future it comes back to bite Microsoft in the ass in the form of a lawsuit. I mean, my work here isn't even done. When this is all said and done and eventually finally comes to its inevitable end, there's going to be even more information about how it was all established to begin with. If you've been watching closely for the past 6 to 8 years, you have seen the full effect of this. And like many of us speculated, there's just no way any of this was profitable. Time in, time out again, missing the mark in terms of commercial success and reception. We told ourselves there's no way any company, well, any sane company can think to themselves, yeah, we could keep pushing this as long as possible until we have no money left. For everything Larry Fink said, sitting there talking about forcing behaviors. It seems that strategy didn't work in the long run, nor would it ever work realistically because a corporation should solely operate as a meritocracy. You want the best of the best in your team, not the darkest of the darks, not the thickest of the accents, not the gayest of the gays or the most woman of the woman. You just want people who are fit for their position, qualified. Forcing an entire team to represent what you want it to in your head, Danny Lalander's style, it doesn't work because it's entirely ego-driven. You need people with creative ideas, with artistic vision. But instead, they're literally hiring people onto major projects as their first project ever. Now, this next part could be a coincidence, but I think's not. With, a recent political assassination attempt that happened, I think the world is changing, as it should have. But John Deere comes out to also basically announce they're done promoting woke propaganda and their commitment to activism, all falling in line around the same time a major incident has taken place. Now, maybe I'm just being hopeful, which I definitely am, because the world isn't that simple, but a certain tide is shifting here. Many people's political opinions shifted in less than 48 hours, but that's just how things happen. Because, I very much wish this was the results of self-reflection and people realizing that DEI was actually a very racist thing all along. Those people will probably never realize why they were wrong, but we're starting off right. Closures of DEI programs that were formed have ended up costing these companies a lot of money, bleeding them, and producing some of the worst results. Microsoft had every financial incentive to drop this, but they didn't. Not until the recent events. So again, yeah, conspiracy theorist Fripp, but you never know. The recent events changed a lot of people's minds. Because we're talking about Microsoft here, okay? We're not talking about any other company. We're talking about trillion-dollar Microsoft, who, a few months ago, sends out a request to developers to discourage them from making curvy, big titty, big ass women. And then a few months later, they're laying off their entire DEI division. Shit like that doesn't happen unless Microsoft is gearing up for the Orange Man to take back the office. Because let's face it, it's not like the current administration had any interest in disrupting anything that BlackRock was trying to do here. However, under the Orange Man, I fully expect full-on investigations into all of this. We really let a bunch of lunatics provide consultation to the industry for nearly 5 years, and everything that came out of it was a complete embarrassment and a stain to the gaming industry. So the less we can get of this toxicity, the less people with this ideology working, making your games, it brings a smile to my face. things are changing ever so slightly. I highly doubt Microsoft is gonna fully commit to completely eradicating it, but I also highly doubt they're going to be the only company to do it. Don't be surprised if news comes out of several companies doing the exact same thing. The best part will be all the tears I'll be collecting, because we all have a mental image of the folks that they're gonna be letting go of, and we know how they can be, how they act, and you can't blame us for feeling it's like some form of justice. Anyways, if Microsoft does more of this, they will win over gamers. As crazy as it is, but if Microsoft legitimately marketed themselves as some sort of based company that was against DEI, well, let's just say they wouldn't be having to port to PlayStation if they were doing that. Anyways, be sure to subscribe to my second channel, Fratanga Says, if you want even more unfiltered, raunchy ass opinions you can't get, or memes you can't get here at Fratanga Plays. Subscribe to that channel, but if you don't feel like it, then subscribe to this one, because I've been working at it for a long time. With that being said, see you all in the next one.
Fratanga sucks ass.